gestural sketch, or the gesture is kind of the beginning, and if you think of the spine just kind of giving the overall feel of the drawing, how it's placed in there, the composition on your page, the size of it, the placement, trying to look, maybe it's further to the left if they're walking, give them some space to walk in, or close it up tight so they're running out of the room, walking out of the picture. But to have a little left of center, not too far. And again, if you take a look, you can kind of still see the circular shape that's down here, the center line, and it does give this elliptical baseline that shows where the eyes are going to be. And once you can locate one of these, still with the same, like the facial features, the echoing of the eye, this is going to wrap around and be the height line for the other eye on the opposite side, the symmetry building there. And same with the ears. This part's helping a little bit with the space and perspective, the tops of the ears. You don't really see where they're connected, but if you can imagine a circular shape and let those, just like the cup you drew where the tangent comes right out of the head there, and you can see the inside of the shape there. Can't see it on the other side, but you can see the hidden line cutting across. And the eyebrows are just extensions echoing the eye itself. Okay? Still trying to find the circular part for the rib cage, kind of the one for the pelvis. And again, this is where they're connecting these together. So just kind of bringing that solid volume, just like the Illustrator file you're doing with the blue shape there. Again, for the feet, trying to find in perspective, like where the shoulders would be. And these are just kind of, even if you just drew stick figures down, that's going to give you this base in order for each four corners to hit. They start off just with a circular shape. And I went ahead a little further and tried to build up the rear haunches of this part. So this is where another circular oval shape can help build that piece together. Let's see if I can drop this down here. And it becomes a section that'll give you two sides to make a cylinder. Any of these cross lines, just kind of adding some of them. So the cross contour lines are also going to help you with the shape of the dimension of that leg and the front and back hind legs. The tail right down the center line of the back, kind of giving that swoosh, and just think of it as a thickness. It's overlapping itself, and as you get into a little bit of the preliminary sketch and move a little further, you can start to see. So getting into the head, there's going to be the circular shape, just like the beginning of the egg character, and extending that forward. And now you end up with a much larger circle, kind of finding these cheeks. You can only see one side of it, so you got to really push the opposite. The hinged part for the bottom part in the mouth, the circular part for the nose, follows its own center line and builds that piece up. Okay. Now a little something further. If you take a look at the feet, even though it's just built up off of a circle, try to see if you can see the square shape inside of it, and that becomes rounded off. And it's also going to give you, if I finish this one off a little bit more, here's the center line for the toe, right in there, and just wrapping this around. So then this all of a sudden builds itself with the volume that you can see. Goes up and around. And this is where the contour line starts to get a little more play into it. And the rib cage overlapping that section there. So once you can see that, you can build that in there. Here's the wraparound of this character, showing the different textures in there like that. So if you can bring that down into the feet, it'll emphasize. Here's a little bit more of the rectangle shape like that. built off of the round, but then building a little bit further inside of that. Coming back up to the nose again, so you get some little bit more detail in the animal's nose. It takes a little bit of imagination on your part too, even with the tongue coming out, so you have the mouth, and the tongue's kind of lapped out like that, finding that center line. And it builds that piece up. And then you start going back, thin and thick lines again, try to emphasize that. There's kind of a center part for the eyes going all the way back around the head, so it's a cross contour line that helps define the form of the head. Kind of square it off just a little bit. And build that part up. When you take a look at the ear, they just gave one line for the inside of it, but try to see how that extends into the rest, so you can get a little bit of a tone. And one on the other side. Work your way down the sketch. Remember, any of the shading, try to go with the form, cross contour to help you with any textures that come out of there. Kind of like the two-tone parts help with the, it has sleeves on there. Build that section up pretty good. Once you have it pretty much delineated out there, start to look for the second tone for the shadow. the body casts a shadow on the front or back leg, give it that dimension to it.